Welcome to The Forum, your way to keep up with state and community leaders, experts, and local business leaders. This is your chance to hear from and talk to people that affect your life right here in Rim Country. You can express your opinions by calling 474-2427. And remember, the comments and opinions of guests and callers are not necessarily the opinions of KMOG. Welcome to Rim Country Forum.
Good morning and happy Wednesday to you. Charlie Seraphin with you on the forum this morning. We have Dr. Mir Ali in studio, and we're excited to talk to him and get a diagnosis for, I don't know if he's going to specialize in mental illness today or not, but I probably have a little bit of that going on. Want to thank our sponsors before we begin: Sunshine Cleaning and Restoration, the Owens Law Firm, Realty Executives Arizona Territory, Pinnacle Propane, Banner Health, Payson Medical Center, the Dana Law Group, and the Power of Five. And Dr. Ali is a board-certified cardiologist and a board-certified phlebologist. That's a vein specialist. He has over 2 decades of experience in the cardiovascular diseases. He practiced in the Los Angeles area before expanding his services here to Gila County. He's started and expanded several cardiac labs in the country. He's been involved in the innovation and use of several new treatment instruments and modalities for cardiovascular care. He provides vein and peripheral artery consultation to other vein centers in Arizona and California. And Dr. Ali holds faculty positions at USC in Los Angeles, as well as the University of Arizona. Dr. Ali's cardiovascular and vein practice is called, write this down, Heart, Artery and Vein Institute, and it's located at 127 East Main Street. The Payson office is open 5 days a week, 9 to 5, and the staff is courteous and skilled. All cardiac and vascular services are provided locally, and that means you can get treatment without traveling to the Valley. They accept Medicare, Veterans Insurance, and all other major insurances. If you'd like an appointment, call 928-238-1388. Dr. Ali, I always say motion is lotion. As long as you can move, you can feel alive. You say something different. You say ability in mobility.
There is ability in mobility.
Yeah, that's also alliterative. Both are alliterative, so those are good things.
Yeah, there's something that my mom used to kind of say, not really realizing how right she was. I mean, as we grew and learned about how the body works, went to medical school, accumulated years of experience, I'm completely sold on that line. There is ability in mobility because bodies that don't move lose their ability to do a lot of other things.
Yeah, and it's like it's like when you stop moving forward, we're almost like sharks in a way, because sharks have to keep moving forward in order to breathe and to function.
Absolutely.
And the same is true for humans. Yes?
We do too. See, I've constructed a slogan, and there may be a lot of truth to that slogan as I'm realizing more and more I talk about it, and that is, keep your legs especially. Keep your legs going strong so nothing with your heart will go wrong. Show me a pair of strong legs, and I'll point to you a good, functioning, beating, robust heart. I'm a heart doctor primarily, and I continue to provide consultations and continue to help people with hearts. I love doing hearts. I can do hearts in my dream and in the middle of the night. I've done many, many times. But as I, gain more experience, talk to more people, perform more consultations, I'm paying a great deal of more attention to the legs. The legs have been traditionally ignored. They are, like the lowest part of the body. They're the ones, if you don't have a pair of slippers on or shoes on, will be in touch with the dirt. And we have all kind of treated legs like they're next to dirt. It turns out they're a very important component of the rest of the body, and the stronger your legs are, I think the longer you live, and I think the better you perform. Your ability to care for yourself as you age, and aging, as you know, is a great side effect of not dying. and we all want that.
So I'm not hadn't thought of it that way, but
it is the truth. And See, we're all subject to adding one day every day we live, and everybody's dream is to live longer. I want, in one little additional component added to that dream, live longer with a lot of ability. Because what's the point in living longer if you're just confined to your bed?
Right, with a bunch of tubes into you and
well, that's
whatnot.
not living.
No, it's not living.
You'd rather take to get out of here. So, if your legs are weak and the rest of the body is okay, your life is not the same. The ability to get the heck out of that bed, jump, on both your feet, get in your car, go do your groceries, go to a gym, or do whatever you want to do, take care of yourself, cook for yourself, ability to climb on the stairs. You've got to have a pair of robust legs. And here's the kicker: the more robust you maintain your legs, the better you are serving the heart. And the stronger the heart, the better circulation to your brain, so you save yourself from cognitive dysfunction. Your memory is not running away. Now, I'm not connecting Alzheimer's to legs, but who knows? They may be related. So let's talk more about legs today, because I believe in them.
Well, I don't know if it's psychosomatic or not, but honestly, the last time you were here, we did a program that was completely devoted to the legs and this somewhat radical treatment that you've found through one of your students, which is always good. It's good that when the professor learns from the student, good things are happening.
Absolutely. That's the definition of a professor is who continues to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I have been really focused on that message and thinking about my legs a lot. And I think sometimes maybe it's just that I'm focused on them more, but I'm learning more. My legs are... I'm more sensitive about my legs, and I'm feeling things that I wasn't necessarily feeling before. And I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but you did get me out of the slump, the COVID slump, when the gyms were closed and everything. So now I'm back at the gym,
Great.
6 days a week.
Wow.
And I do a good cardiovascular start with the treadmill and the elliptical. I do about 20 minutes on each one, and then I'll do some stretching and some light weights and everything. But I'm the more conscious I am of it, the more I'm realizing that I'm putting off that inevitable thing. I guess I'm feeling my age more as I do. I feel healthy and stronger, but not necessarily all the vital signs. So what are other than just sitting around in a chair, what are some of the causes that people have for reduced mobility?
Yeah.
What's keeping people from moving and being more active?
Yeah, a lot of times people think two things. One, they're aging. Sure we are. We're all adding, 1 day every day. So to me, that's basically an excuse. I think we should stop thinking about that. The other thing sometimes people think is they're becoming lazier, which also is a questionable thing, because lazy is a matter of a choice, and sometimes you make that choice not based on wanting to be lazy, but maybe you don't have the resource to get done what you would like to do. For example, if you think you don't want to get out of your chair or your couch and walk around or do some activity, maybe it's not a conscious choice that much. Maybe your legs are just saying to you at a subconscious level, nope, we're not ready. There's a couple, 2-3 things what makes people not to engage in mobility, because engaging in mobility is a prime thing. There's no walking away from that, because otherwise you're going to be a couch potato, have a weak heart, weak legs. Musculoskeletal, muscles and bones. Some people have, for example, arthritis. Some people have muscle dystrophy because of disuse, or muscle atrophy because of disuse. So you're not using your muscles getting weaker by the day, and one day they're just saying, no, we're just not in the mood. That's one of the reasons. The other one might be, as people advance in their age, neurological, related, for example, to the brain, to the spine. If you have a weaker spine and the nerves getting out of those holes in the bones are getting compressed and stuff like that. You have leg pain, leg weakness. If you have had a previous stroke or a TIA, you may be partially paralyzed, and that's why you don't move. But the most important 90+% of the reason why people choose not to move has to do with their circulation. Circulation. And a lot of the people who are in their 60s or above have especially a condition called chronic venous insufficiency. And, we're going to focus on that one today because the more I think about it, the more I think there's room for the medical profession to get involved and help people with that chronic venous insufficiency. As complicated that, that phrase may sound, it's a simple condition. Usually people who are in their 60s or plus, have acquired it. And here's the kicker. It's not as difficult to treat as diabetes or high blood pressure or heart disease. It's very easy to treat. And the reward to, for example, money spent ratio is so much in favor. So for small money spent and for a little time spent, you get a pair of great legs that'll then contribute to your ability to move around. It'll contribute to your heart getting stronger because now you're able to move. And because you're able to move, you're able to participate your social life. Your social life goes up and your thinking is better. And overall, you're a happier person. Am I connecting the dots or not?
Yeah. And so there's someone listening right now, and they're sitting in a chair, and they've been sitting in that chair since they got up this morning, and they've had a little coffee maybe, but they haven't really moved around too much, and they have kind of given up their mobility. They've saying like, okay, their positions are they go to bed at night, they sit in the chair most of the day. Sometimes they'll get up and go to the door or do a couple of critical things, but most of the time they're sedentary. They're just sitting on a chair, whether it's the kitchen chair or a lounge chair or a recliner or whatever. And a part of it is I think there's two things, right? One is the motivation to want to move, and that's what we're trying to provide this morning from a doctor who's talking about health issues.
Absolutely.
This is going to affect the length of your life, your ability to move.
And especially the quality of your life.
The quality of your life and the length of your life, both. So for some people, and I know some people like this, the motivation comes from having an exterior motivation. They have a dog, so they have to walk the dog, and if they get out of the house to walk the dog, that creates the movement. But if the dog dies and they don't have the dog anymore, then they don't find that.
Now we sound like a dog commercial.
Yeah, well, okay. But what about simple things? You talked about circulation. I'm thinking of the chicken and the egg. Which one comes first? Does the dietary type things that you need to do that will help with circulation, does that come before the movement, or does that come along with the movement, or what's the most important thing?
It's a great question for which there may not be a perfect answer, but I'll answer it the most intelligently I can. With age, the insufficiency that you develop, especially in the venous part of your circulation, and I'll define what insufficiency is as we go along, will come. Majority of the people, if not 100%. When I have studied people with testing in my office, and they presented to me with weak legs or, not able to move, etc., etc., majority of Medicare age people have venous insufficiency. If it's left alone and not corrected, then because of poor circulation and ongoing consequences of poor circulation, you start to feel weak in your legs, you start to feel your legs are heavy. Now, legs, again, there's one other thing about legs. Most people don't pay attention to symptoms in the legs. They think, like my grandmother thought when she became a little bit older, and I remember her, oh, my legs were a little bit swollen, but what do you expect? I'm old now. She thought that. My parents very well accepted that. Now I think, as I go back can think about her, she had a mild condition of venous insufficiency, which we're going to be talking about today, and extremely reversible. So to answer your question, there is a physical element that is going to happen to human bodies because we stand erect all our life. And that's sort of the consequence that our venous circulation has fought gravity for so long, it's starting to kind of, wear out.
Gets tired.
It's tired, yeah. Mm-hmm. And that wear out is not the ultimate consequence, and it's not something that we should accept and say, okay, that's it. That wear out is repairable. That wear out can be fixed, and once you fix it, it lasts a significantly long time. So to go back to your question, is it motivational or is it physical? There may or may not be motivational, I don't know, but there's definitely physical. There's a definite physical element. Your legs are weak. They're sending you a subconscious message. They're either weak or they're achy or they just are not ready to take on the burden of your whole body resting on them and you moving them around and moving the whole body around. And they say, well, you're not going to move too much today. It's a long answer to a simple question.
Last time we talked about, obviously, if your legs are swelling, that's a pretty easy to you notice that and you can see it.
You'll be surprised. More than half the people who I see, and I tell them, "Are your legs swollen?" They say no.
But they are.
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
They're not comparing their legs to normal legs. You see, I finally discovered in my head, this is not written in a book. It's like I'm seeing the legs are swollen and I poke my finger in their, ankle and I create like a Grand Canyon. And the person is saying, no, my legs are not swollen. And here's why. I'm comparing their swollen legs to what I have in my mind, the picture of a normal leg. They are comparing their legs to yesterday's legs, their own. So between yesterday and today, there's not much difference. To them, it's the same thing. Well, if it happens 1.1 millimeters extra swelling every day, in a month, in a year, you have enormous amount of swelling sometimes, and your eyes are not perceiving it. I figured that one out because people are, like I said, they're comparing their legs from yesterday to today, and they don't see much difference. So when I point that one out, people are surprised. Massive swelling cannot be missed by a doctor, but mild to moderate swelling generally missed by the people, by persons, because they think their legs are just getting a little fat, their legs are maybe getting a little plump, but that's about all. And people also don't complain of ache and pain because they think it's part of normal growing up and aging and maturing. Their walking distance is going down. They again related to, well, I'm aging, it's like graying, your hair graying on you or your skin developing some wrinkles, etc., etc. There are similarities in these things, but the correction with the veins is so good and so lasting and beneficial that it's surprising to me that the medical industry hasn't done a great deal about it already.
No, we don't put that much emphasis on it.
We don't.
I don't hear other physicians talking about it, and that's why we're pleased to have you here to have this discussion. The other thing that you mentioned last time is if you take off your shoes and your socks and you look at the insides of your ankles, just above your heel,
yes,
if that area shows a lot of veins, if you can see the veins close to the surface,
you made your own diagnosis.
You've made your own. You have a significant problem. You have that chronic venous insufficiency.
Yes.
Okay, 25 minutes after 9 o'clock. I'm sure you have some questions for Dr. Ali, and he's here to help if you want to know something particularly about your legs. We're talking about that today. If you have night cramps in your legs, or if your legs hurt more in one position than another, if you're sitting down or if you're standing up and your legs hurt, or if you're lying down and your legs hurt, all kinds of different reactions of people. Everybody's a little bit different, but there are similarities. The number is 474-2427. We welcome your calls, and we'll have more after this. Good morning. Thank you so much for being with us this morning, wherever you're listening. If you're listening on KMOGcountry.com around the world, Maybe you're listening in India this morning. We would certainly welcome your call. I guess it's late. What time would it be in India right now?
It'll be about 9:30 in the evening.
About 9:30 in the evening, so 12 hours difference. So perfect time. If you have a question for Dr. Ali, you're welcome to call us. And we encourage you as you travel, or if you have friends in other parts of the country or other parts of the world, to tell them about our program, because they can listen wherever they are on KMOGcountry.com. So if someone has a chronic venous insufficiency and they're just becoming aware of it through our discussion, maybe even that their legs are a little swollen, they've got some leg pain that they thought was just a part of aging, but probably is not. What are the consequences? What does that mean for them?
Well, the consequences are many, and not everybody will be subject to all those consequences. The number one consequence is reduction in your ability to move around, which is sort of subtle but very dangerous, because ultimately you're weakening your entire body, you're weakening your heart, you are affecting, activities of daily living, and probably your longevity. So with more and more chronic venous insufficiency, which basically means the circulation in your veins is going in the opposite direction. Veins are supposed to pump blood to go back to the heart. With venous insufficiency, blood keeps going down into your feet because of gravity, and the valves are failing. There's all these valves that are they're supposed to prevent opposite flow of blood, and they're failing because they're weak, and the veins are dilated or expanded in diameter, so the valves are not able to coapt or meet in the middle, so blood keeps returning to the feet. Then you start achy soles, achy ankles, achy legs. Your ability, like I said, walking distance is reduced, and at the end of a walk you might have pain. When you're sitting prolonged or standing prolonged, you have heaviness in your legs. Some people may just experience nightly cramps. Then later on you'll be noticing some varicosities on the surface of your skin. Now remember, if you didn't have varicosities, that doesn't rule out chronic venous insufficiency. You could have insufficiency without varicosities, but as soon as varicosities appear, you got insufficient veins. And we talked about this situation called corona phlebitictasia, a medical word, which is a confluence of abnormal veins on the inner aspect of your ankle, just below the bump, which is called the medial malleolus, just above your heel. If people are listening, we talked about this one other show before. Lift your pants up if you're wearing pants, and look right below the bump that you have on the inner side, just above the heel. Between the heel and that bump, if you have visible veins that are bluish, purplish, whatever, that's pretty much a done deal. You have insufficient veins. So you develop varicosities. Then people can go on to develop changes in the color of their skin. A lot of people are also very insensitive to changes in their skin color. I have to sometimes take a picture of their legs in the ankles and take a picture of their arms and show to them, and they think, oh my God, these look like they belong to different people. They do. Some people just think because, their legs may not be covered, and because of the sun and so on and so forth, that's why there are changes. And, in some instances, that may be the case. But excessive redness or excessive darkness in the skin is another sign that you have insufficient veins, and that can go on to, develop open wounds and ulcers and stuff like that. Of course, we don't want to wait until all that happens. The best time to seek consultation is when you think you don't need any consultation, because it's very fixable. If you are a certain age, say Medicare age, there is more than 50, 60, 70% likelihood you have venous insufficiency. So the best time to approach to see is there a condition or not is even when you have no symptoms. If you have no symptoms, and if a very simple test determine you have no venous insufficiency, then you're off the hook. You don't have to worry about it for a long time. But if you do have venous insufficiency and it is caught on early in time, it's very easy to fix. So those would be some unwelcome consequences of not treating chronic venous insufficiency.
What's the relationship between blood pressure and venous insufficiency?
Oh, you asked me a very easy question.
Good.
There's not much relationship between high blood pressure and venous insufficiency.
Does one
Cause the other?
relate to the other at all, or not really?
Blood pressure is a condition in the arteries. It's on the arterial side, and the veins, as much as they are part of the circulation, it's pretty much like a different zip code, like a different state altogether.
Okay.
So they operate very separately. You could have a lot of high blood pressure and may not have chronic venous insufficiency, and you may not be subject to any blood pressure at all, but you might have chronic venous insufficiency. Now, there's one relationship. Both conditions relate to people who are generally above a certain age. For example, blood pressure is not a common condition in people who are in their 20s or 30s, even in 40s. It kind of starts to creep in at about, I don't want to call middle age 50. I think 50 is still young, don't you think?
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, 50 is a number. They're all just numbers.
Number, yeah.
So we don't know
so
how
above
long.
50.
Okay. So,
Blood pressure. Venous insufficiency also in that age group. So there's some commonality in terms of when you acquire these conditions. Now, some younger people have venous insufficiency, especially if both of their parents were subject to venous insufficiency, and sometimes it's it comes along when people are pregnant and stuff like that.
So is there a genetic component to it? Definitely.
Venous insufficiency has a very strong genetic component. One parent had venous insufficiency, your chance goes up. Both parents had venous insufficiency, it's a done deal.
So your grandmother had venous insufficiency.
I might get one too.
So you're thinking that's maybe in your future as well.
It's quite possible.
As soon as you get to be 50
or
right?
something.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, 50
yes,
or something.
yes.
Yeah. Okay, so. And last time I was really excited because it's a great story of how, as a professor, you learn from your student. And we don't have to repeat the story necessarily, but there is a really interesting treatment that you've been doing now for over 20 years, that has significant impact on venous insufficiency and will help a lot of people with mobility.
Yes.
Because it reverses that gravity pull for all the years that you've been standing on your feet and the blood has been going down. It will help the veins to work and push that blood back into your heart.
I kind of hesitate using the word holistic therapy because it's kind of used by a different group of specialists, but I'm welcoming it into my vocabulary. It's more of a sort of a holistic therapy. It's called external counterpulsation, and we talked about this extensively last time I was here. I'm pretty much sold on it after being very skeptical about it for a brief period of time. It basically fine-tunes your circulation pretty much from head to toe. That's what it does. Excuse me, I'm having a Biden moment, huh?
It's funny how that creeps into the vernacular, isn't it? Yeah. I heard that
I have
someone
a thought,
said it yesterday.
but words are refusing to step out of my lips. Anyways, what it does is it augments pressure at a special point in the pressure waveform of our blood pressure, such that our heart starts to receive 15 to 30% more circulation per heartbeat. I did it. I think I simplified it. So that's what that therapy does. While that's happening and your heart is getting stronger, imagine the secondary effects. Your heart is now able to pump stronger, so every single artery in your body is able to see more blood coming in its direction. Your brain, all your brain cells, your brain cortex is receiving more circulation. Your eyes, your nose, your face, your chest, your belly, your spleen, your liver, go all the way down to your toes. They're all seeing extra blood. So that's why I think I'm kind of comfortable calling it some sort of a holistic therapy. Now, the word holistic doesn't mean it doesn't belong to the allopathic part of medicine, because it does. We're the ones who do it. I'm the one, who does it. And it's an FDA, recommended and approved treatment. It's Medicare authorized, for the right circumstances. Not everybody should be just laying on the table and getting therapy done. Now, so that people understand, I'm not tying the treatment, which is external counterpulsation I just described, to chronic venous insufficiency. The treatment for chronic venous insufficiency is specific and a different one, but the therapy I'm talking about helps in all directions. I hope this is not too confusing.
So help me now to understand what if someone has chronic venous insufficiency and they come to you and it's easily diagnosed and you see and they admit it. The swelling of the legs, leg pain, leg cramps at night, and the ankles and the bluish color on the inside of the ankle, and so it's there. So, and again, not to prescribe over the air, but give us a general idea of how are you going to treat that condition.
So everybody is going to have different level of symptoms. Not everybody will present with varicosities or skin discoloration. So I don't want people to think, just because I didn't see any visible varicosities and my skin is not discolored, I don't have venous insufficiency. No, that's not true. You could have venous insufficiency and your legs could be looking pretty okay to your eyes, not to the doctor's eyes. So the first thing that we do will be a simple test called ultrasound. It's a non-invasive, maybe 15-20 minute test that looks at blood vessels through a probe that's connected to an ultrasound machine. Sound waves are thrown into the leg and sound waves return, and they make up a picture on the screen, and the doctor can tell by looking at the screen what the size of your vein is. Are there valves that are incompetent and allowing blood to flow in the reverse direction? And if blood is flowing in the reverse direction, what's the duration? Because anything which is 0.5 second or less is not considered pathologic. If it's a second to 2 seconds to 3 seconds, and a lot of people have that amount of reflux, then that is pathologic and that needs attention. And the first thing to do is not necessarily run to some intervention. I generally tell them some conservative measures, like start walking a little extra, take rest between periods of walking, avoid prolonged sitting or avoid prolonged standing. And more important, as important if not more important, is wearing what we call compressive or compression stockings. You'll be surprised how some people respond to compression stockings. The downside of compression stockings is the prescription grade stockings, which is anywhere from 30 to 40 millimeters of mercury pressure around your legs. A lot of people don't tolerate it, and a lot of elderly people have difficulty putting them on and taking them off. So depending on the situation, I may just tell them to go to go to a pharmacy store and buy what I call consumer grade stockings. They're the same stockings like prescription stockings, except the pressure on those is a little bit less, maybe 10 to 15 millimeters. And if they start there, then they could go on to higher pressures of mercury, and they're very effective.
Does that help the veins heal, or is that a Band-Aid?
Great question. It's kind of a Band-Aid, more so. There's a very small percentage of people whose insufficiency may be terribly small, and they may respond to it. But I have not seen too many people who will dramatically respond to it. But it's worth the trial, because the next step is a little bit of an interventional step. It's not major surgery or anything. It's a very minor procedure, and if that's something that can be avoided, I'd like to avoid it, or I'd like to postpone it because it can be done at a more appropriate time.
What is that? What is the next step?
So the next step is actually coming into the doctor's office, and the phlebotomist, I'm a phlebotomist, under ultrasound guidance and under ultrasound vision, will go into the vein with a tiny little needle. It's a very I don't want to say 100% painless procedure, but it has over the years become very painless. I do a special procedure which is somewhat different than most other procedures that are done other places. I don't use what other people use. It's called thermal energy. The older method to treat it is either using laser or using another thermal agent called radio frequency. I avoid that as much as possible. Occasionally I have to use it. So the procedure I use is called mechanical rotation. You go inside of a vein, now you have a door, there's a needle hole, and through that you insert a tiny little, say, catheter. It rotates inside the vein by the doctor, pulling on a trigger. And it also releases a tiny amount of a chemical. So what this does is it shrinks the abnormal vein. And long run, that abnormal vein is basically extruded out of circulation. A lot of people jump on me and say, "Doctor, then what's going to happen to my circulation? How my blood's going to flow back?" So here's the answer. Nature has provided numerous good veins that are present around that bad vein. So the bad vein becomes history, but the good veins take over. And 90 to 95% of the times, those good veins that are now recruited function pretty good for a long, long time. This catheter I started using came about in 2014 or 15, so we've used it for about 5-6 years, and the recurrence is less than 5%. So in other words, there's a 95% chance that once the vein is corrected, you're good for a long time. Now, mind you, once the doctor discovers there is insufficient veins, there are multiple veins, so it's not just one treatment. Treatment takes about 5-10 minutes. No more than that. And you come in essentially like a doctor's visit, you get the treatment done, and you hop out of the bed, you're ready to dance. There are no restrictions, no rest necessary, no bed rest necessary. My assistant will wrap a little compression wrap around the leg that can be taken off in a few hours. So
but you have to come back again and get another one treated. Depending on how many number of veins you have. A lot of people have 3 to 4 veins. That's kind of like the average. Some people only have one. Some people may even have more. But here's the kicker. Once you get the first vein corrected, a lot of people start to feel the difference already. Even though the book says that you don't feel the difference until long, because you really have to build up your muscles. You weaken your muscles by not moving around. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's go to the phones. Take a question here. Good morning. Welcome to the forum with Dr. Ali. Who's on the line?
Don. I just let me turn this down. I just started listening, and I apologize for asking, but I need a phone number for the doctor. I've got discolored skin and swelling on my ankles, so yep. I need you, Doc.
It'll be a pleasure to serve you.
His number is 928-238-1388. Don, that's 238-1388.
100%. Thank you much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate your call. I'm going to try to see if I can recap real quickly what you just told me, so that I make sure that I'm getting the picture.
Yeah.
But
translate it to English.
I'm going to translate it into non-doctor speak. So a person who has this chronic venous insufficiency has veins in their legs that have stretched out or enlarged somehow, and the valves aren't meeting, so the blood flow that is supposed to be stopped and going back toward the heart is just going down. Gravity is pulling that blood down.
Yep.
And so the treatment that you just described will go in and in some instances will sort of close off that vein, so that isn't allowing the blood to go down with gravity, and allow the healthier veins that are not affected to continue to do the job. So you'll get plenty of blood still to your feet. It's not like your feet are going to drop off because there's no blood coming to them, but you won't get excess blood going in the wrong direction.
Exactly.
Is that okay?
That's perfectly good. I think you're ready to write a book.
Okay. I don't think not about that. 13 minutes until 10 o'clock. We're having a fascinating discussion, as we always do, with Dr. Mir Ali, one of my favorites. And you can tell by listening to him that two things. One, that he has tremendous knowledge, and two, that he has a passion for helping people with relatively common problem. which as we get older, we probably all are going to experience to some degree or other. So the number again, if you would like to call the office, is 238-1388, and we'll have more after this. Good morning. Thank you for listening to the Rim Country Forum here on KMOG. Charlie Seraphin with you, along with Dr. Mir Ali, who is a board-certified cardiologist and a board-certified phlebotomist. That's a vein specialist. And today we're talking primarily about veins and chronic venous insufficiency, which you mentioned something earlier in the program, and I think it bears repeating, so I'm going to come back to it again. A lot of times with medical issues, it's like we pick the dentistry profession. People don't look forward to going to the dentist. People generally don't look forward to going to the doctor. And it's something that we put off. But what you've said
I was just hoping they'd come to see me just for my personality.
Yeah, well, your personality, and I agree. I think that's a good idea because he has some wonderful stories, and he'll regale you if you'll allow him to do that. But something you said early on is that the best time to go and have this stuff checked is before you experience the pain, before your legs balloon up,
Absolutely.
before you are in that chronic condition, and come in and see. And if in the worst case scenario, you get a clean bill of health,
Really?
which isn't that bad, right?
Here's an analogy.
Okay.
You can wait until your tire blows out on the freeway and then get the tire and the wheel attended to. Or you can bring the car for maintenance and tell them to check the wheels and the tires. This is really no different. I mean, this is a great analogy. It just came to my mind. It's like having a new set of wheels on your Chevy. Mm-hmm. Sure, everybody is worried about the transmission and whatever else is under the hood in a car. What do I know?
Yeah. You do not ask Dr. Ali to operate on your automobile. We're just saying that. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
If my father was alive,
he could do
then he would be the best one in town.
Okay.
Yeah, he wanted me to get under the hood of human beings.
Yeah, and you know what, Doctor, and I have to share this because you told the story last time. One of the reasons that you use that analogy and that it popped into your head is because you've waited too long sometimes to have your tires attended to.
I have.
And you've had flat tires. You've had to call the people and say, I got a flat tire. I need some help here.
On Freeway 87 when my tire totally blew out. I was on metal, and they were really good Samaritans. They all clustered around, and came, and they made it like a pleasurable thing of some sort. But I was very lucky. So yes, I've been guilty.
It's not the first time though. It's happened before that. It happened in Southern California too. So you don't pay attention to your tires. So how do they say? There's a saying for that. Doctor, heal thyself, or something.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So even if you don't have any significant, serious issues right now, if you get to a certain age, if you're 50 or above, certainly 65 or above, it's not a bad idea to go in and have a checkup, and when you see Dr. Ali, ask him, check my legs. How am I? How are they doing? Because people can't tell. I found your story really interesting about patients who say, "No, I don't have leg swelling."
No, they say that all the time.
Yeah. So let's see what this one has to say. Good morning. Welcome to the forum. Who's on the line?
Hi, it's Pamela.
Hi, Pamela.
And I'm actually on the radio this time, Mr. Charlie. Pamela and Randy.
Oh, yeah, hi.
Oh, okay. Anyhow, I was just wondering if the doctor links up anything with the veins with restless leg syndrome.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hang up so I can hear the reply.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I appreciate your call. Thanks for listening. Have a beautiful day.
The restless legs syndrome is one of those mysterious things that there's no final line on it. But there are several conditions that get passed on as one or the other. Like one of the other things is neuropathy. A lot of the people come to my office and they've been told, some people a year ago, some people 5 years ago, that they have neuropathy. Neuropathy, has certain causes, and one of the most common cause for neuropathy, which is pain and ache and tingling and burning in the legs, is diabetes, and diabetes will affect your nerves and neurons and give people neuropathy, and they have neuropathy. I see a lot of people in my practice who've been told they have neuropathy even though they have no diabetes. There is a condition called idiopathic, which is a word with the medical profession doesn't want to say they don't know, which they don't. So idiopathic. A lot of people carry that diagnosis. I've evaluated their legs, treated their veins, and their neuropathy, is subsided, gone away. Restless leg syndrome is a similar diagnosis. You could have it for no reason, but if you do have restless legs and it's not resolving and no treatment has been offered to you, you owe it to yourself to get your veins examined, to get your veins tested, because even if there's 50% chance that correcting an abnormal vein is going to bring relief for restless legs, well, that's a good chance. So yes, there's a relationship between chronic venous insufficiency, poor venous circulation, and neuropathy. Is the relationship 100%? No. But there could be a 50% relationship.
Yeah, I think I fall in that 50%. I'm just saying, I have that little tingling on the bottom of my feet. It's not painful or disabling at this point, but I'm sure at some point it will affect my balance, which is what I'm most concerned about.
I hope not. I hope you will pay attention to it, way before that.
Well, that's why I do have an appointment later this month with Dr. Ali. So
to further the answer of the caller, if there is any doubt in your head, it's a very simple doubt to be cleared. Ultrasound, like I said, instantly will tell us, is there venous circulation issues? By the way, ultrasound will also tell us about arterial circulation. It's the same thing. And if there is any issue with circulation in the legs, which are the most ignored parts of our body, people pay so much attention to their hair, to their eyelashes, to the skin wrinkles on the face and all that. I'm not disagreeing with that. I mean, we owe it to ourselves to look as good as possible. But the physical condition of the legs is a very ignored subject. And this is not just by patients, it's by the medical industry too. I mean, I'm getting aroused because of some experiences, and I kind of stumbled onto this, and then once I started to fix problems, I was amazed at how happy patients were. Patients came in walking with a walker, walking with a cane, and after one or two treatments, they're disregarding the walker, they're disregarding. I'm not going to bring a miracle to every single life, but that's what I'm seeing. And I think we owe it to ourselves, the medical industry owes it to the community to make this diagnosis, if a diagnosis needs to be made, and help people, and people need to kind of wake up and ask for it. Hey doc, can you check my legs? Legs are the most ignored part of the human body. I'm telling you, because I've been guilty myself.
I know you're listening, and I know you're hearing what the doctor is saying. Pay attention and act on it. When the program is over, don't just forget and push it into that compartment of, maybe I'll look into that later. Think about your legs. It's a fascinating discussion. We'll have more after this. There we go. We are in the midst of a wrap-up here with Dr. Mir Ali, and we've been talking about your legs today, and hopefully you've been paying attention. I know some of you took your shoes off earlier and your socks and rolled up your pants leg to take a look at the inside of your ankles. That's important. Look at the coloration and look at the overall health of your legs and how you're feeling. And if you're feeling like, I just don't want to get out of this chair because it just doesn't feel good, maybe it's time for a visit to the doctor and see if he can't help you get out of that chair and feel better. Yeah. So a final thought, doctor?
Well, final thought is don't think too much about veins and circulation and reflux in the veins and chronic venous insufficiency because, I get paid to do those things. It's more about, are you as active as you want to be? Are you as active as you need to be? Are your activities of daily living in any way compromised or affected? Is your walking distance, to your liking? Because it's all about activities of daily living, quality of life, and longevity. And if this will contribute even 5% or 10% or 20% and sometimes even 30, 40, 50%, why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
His number is 928-238-1388 here in Payson, located on Main Street. And if you get a chance to call and make an appointment and meet Dr. Ali in person, I know that you will be impressed. He's a wonderful guy, despite whatever he says about me when I'm not around. Sunshine Cleaning and Restoration, Owens Law Firm, Realty Executives Arizona Territory, Pinnacle Propane, Banner Health Payson Medical Center, the Dana Law Group, and the Power of Fives presented our program today. Thank you to our great, wonderful sponsors. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, Jim Ferris will be in studio. We're not going to talk about town government. We're not going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about American exceptionalism and the great things about this country that are sometimes overlooked and taken for granted. So save up your thoughts and your questions and your comments, and please join us tomorrow morning for the program here on KMOG Payson. It's 10 o'clock. Payson, 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 it's 10 o'clock.